and welcome to the first race in the first ever DICE Racing Series. This race will be held at the DICE Racing Speedway. This is the first track where DICE Racing was tested before the idea to do this racing series came. All of the rules have been made here, and let's take a look at the track now. So for one lap, the racers are gonna have to start here. Here's the lineup. And there's the first two turns. So it goes a bit straight. Then we have 4 turns, I believe. These 4. The turns don't have names here or anything like that. We have a short straight area. Another few turns. Then we have the crash zone. A little short lap. Going over the crash zone again. And then another straight piece, turning, another straight one, turning again, and then towards the finish line. This race is going to have 5 laps, so after 5 laps we'll see who is the winner. Now let's go over the races quickly. We have Francesco Bernoulli in first place, sponsored by Crazy Cars Canada. In second place Max Snell, sponsored by ImelvisRV. And then in third place we have Nigel Geasley, sponsored by T-Toy Reviews Thai. Fourth place Miguel Camino, sponsored by Esgar Ramirez. Now in fifth place we have Shoot2the sponsored by Rex Revler Fan 80. In sixth place we have Lewis Hampton, sponsored by carsdiecastreviewer. In 7th place we have Lightning McQueen, sponsored by Lil57. In 8th place we have Ripley Skansky, sponsored by VT Cars 31. In 9th place we have Jeff Gorvet, sponsored by Interstate 290. In 10th place we have Viley Petros, sponsored by CarsCollectorUK. In 11th place we have Rules, sponsored by 95 Fan. And in 12th place we have Carlo Veloso, sponsored by Manonvanloenen. So yeah, let's roll the dice and start this race. So I just did the first turn of rolling the dice, and it's a pretty interesting start. Francesco started pretty good, and he's still in 2nd place. Lewis Hampton surprisingly came from 6th place to 1st. And Nigel is still in 3rd, and yeah, Viley and Lightning are right next to each other, blocking the roads, but that doesn't matter. Shu ended up here anyway. And then we have Ripley Skansky, who has just gone over the starting line, Raul Sarul and Jeff Corvette, who are blocking the road for Carlo Veloso. If it was possible for 3 cars to stand on one place, then Carla would be right here, but she isn't. I won't be doing an update every turn that I throw the dices, but I'll probably update you when the racers get to the first crash zone. So we have reached the crash zone. No crashes have happened yet. Maybe that happens in the next turn, but we'll see. Most of the cars have pretty much remained in the pack, or at least we have the big pack here and then a few cars in front. Francesco has taken back the lead, Max has taken back 2nd place. And most of the cars around here, except Carlo Veloso, who is really far behind. Literally the next turn, and we have the first crash. The race leader, Francesco Bernoulli, was on the crash zone, and then Lewis ran into him when it was his turn. He was literally standing here, and he crashed into Francesco because Lightning McQueen was here, blocking the roads. This crash means that they both have to skip a turn, and Lightning McQueen will be in the lead. So while Lightning is leading the race, we had some bad crash here. Yeah. So Francesco and Lewis are going to come back in the race now, but bad thing. Nigel Geasley and Max Schnell are fine. This is not a crash, but well, Nigel Geasley just didn't hit Max Schnell, just stopped right behind him. Todoroki tried to pass him, then ran into Rip Klitschkanski. This is the turn he skips, now the next turn he'll be racing again. But yeah, Shu ran into him, then Raul ran into Shu, so we have a big crash. Just so you know, I won't update you on every crash that happens during the race. Just the big ones from now. Just want to do this because it's the first lap. And I'll probably see you guys when the lightning reaches the end of the first lap. So the first racers have finished the first lap. And after a quick lead change, and Vitaly Petrov was actually the first one to finish his lap, but then Max also finished and the lap and overtook him. They're now heading into the second lap. About to finish this first lap, we have Lightning McQueen, Nigel Hirsley, Jeff Gorvet in a row. And here we have Shu Todoroki and Francesco, who is not having a good time after that crash. He started in first place and now he is in 6th. And they are blocking Lewis Hamilton, who would have been here if they hadn't blocked him. Then we have Rip Klitschkanski. Then here, in 10th and 11th, we have Raul and Miguel. And after the crash, Raul actually got overtaken by Carla, but Carla is now back in last place. So Max has just entered lap 3, thereby being the first one to be done with lap 2. During this lap there were a couple lead changes, like Nigel Gearsley took the lead for a moment, and Lightning McQueen took the lead, but Max has remained in the top 3 the entire time. So basically I think he has been in the top 3 for the entire race so far, so he's doing really good. And right now, the second place, Vitaly Petrov, he's back in second place after an entire lap, is pretty far behind. And yeah, behind there we have Lewis Hamilton, Shu Todoroki, who actually blocked Francesco from ending up right next to him. Lightning was already there. And a bit more behind we have Jeff and Miguel. And then we have the stragglers. The car who was in lead during the second turn of dice rolling during this lap, Nigel Gearsley, he is now in 9th place somehow. Matches his number. And it wasn't because of any crash, because there haven't happened any crash this lap. It's the first time this happens at all at this track. When we did the testing for this, for all of this on this track, there were always crashes every lap. And Carla Vloso is still in last place. She was of course not in last place after Raul crashed, but he is trying to catch up. But she's right behind Rip Klitschkanski, so maybe she can get out of last place. So we've just entered the 4th lap, and Max Schnell is in the lead again. It's the exact same situation as happened at the beginning of lap 2. Vitaly Petrov finished the lap first, but then in this lap Max Schnell overtook him again. And it's really weird because most of the lap Vitaly remains like in 4th or 5th place, and then he somehow returns for 2nd place when we reach the finish line. Also, our pole position starter Francesco is finally catching up back. He's now in 3rd place. Not too far behind are Lewis Hamilton and Shu Todoroki. Actually, a funny thing, most of this lap, Max Schnell and Shu Todoroki remained in the lead. Actually, Shu Todoroki was in the lead because Shu took over Max somewhere around here. And then they remained right next to each other through the crash area. They almost caused a big crash behind them, but that didn't happen, luckily. Nigel Gearsley is catching back up with Jeff right behind him. Lightning is now racing here. He raced a bit better in the beginning of the lap. Raul is kind of recovering from that crash he had in lap 1. Carla Vloso has finally gotten out of last place. She even overtook Raul at some point, but he took the 9th place back. And right when I thought this lap would be a lap without crashes, we got a crash between Rip and Miguel. But they're fine, they're now getting back on the track this turn. It's not a big crash, but every time a lap finished Finally was in second, or he was in first, but Max overtook him. But yeah, he has now crashed, or should I say, Lewis Hamilton has crashed into him. Very unfortunate. Shooter the Rookie was barely able to avoid a crash, just because of this area where the racers always start after the crash. They crash. He was able to use this to just get through here and Nigel. Then Lewis came and Lightning was already here. He crashed. Finally did save Francesco from a crash, so Francesco is now in second and he has a good chance on getting his first place back. And Carla Veloso is now trying to stay in front of Miguel, making sure she doesn't get last where she started. So we're in the final lap now. For the first time in this race, it's not Max Schnell who's the first one to get into it, because Shooter Rocky finally did it. After just barely avoiding that crash with Vitaly Petrov here, he took the lead. And Max Schnell is trying to catch up, but he's not really doing a good job. While Nigel Gearsley, coming back from 9th place, I believe, is now in 3rd. And our pole position starter, Francesco, is now in 4th. But he's doing his best to get back up. Vitaly Petrov, who usually would be in 2nd place behind Max Schnell when the lap finished, is trying to catch up after his crash, just right next to Jeff. And then we have a small group over here with Rip, Lightning, Raul, and Lewis. Lewis was like somewhere over here, but then the crash happens. And we have Carla Veloso here trying to stay in front of Miguel, who is trying to catch up because he doesn't want to be last. So we are at the final stretch of the race, and Shooter the Rookie is still in the lead, but Vitaly Petrov is really close all of a sudden. Even with his crash in lap 4, he is still in 2nd place now. It could end with the next dice roll, but maybe not. Nigel Gearsley is in 3rd. Pole position starter Francesco is in 5th. And our basically race leader, who was always in the lead when we went into the next lap, Max Schnell, is in 6th place, and Jeff Corvette is trying to get past him. Carla Veloso is finally doing well. She went from last place a few laps ago. She passed Miguel, Lewis, McQueen, Rip, and she's about to pass Raul by the looks of it. So she's doing really good. And sadly Lewis is now at the back in her position. And Miguel Camino is still in last, but at least he did not get overlapped. So now it's time to roll the dice. Let's see if Shooter the Rookie wins, or Vitaly, or if it's undecided. So for Shooter the Rookie it's a 2 and a 1, so 1, 2, 1. It's no finish for him. Now Vitaly, can you finish it? 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And ladies and gentlemen, Vitaly Petrov is the first racer to finish. So our winner here, Vitaly Petrov, actually started in 10th place. Then he was the first car to go into the 2nd lap, but Max overtook him at the same turn that he went into the 2nd lap. Then he was the 2nd car to go into the 3rd lap, the 2nd car to go into the 4th lap. Then he had a crash in the 4th lap where Lewis Hamilton ran into his side. Lewis Hamilton finished 11th because of that crash. But Vitaly recovered really well from that crash and was able to get the win here. Shooter Rocky did pretty well. He and Max had a battle on lap 3 or 4, where he actually was in 1st place for a while, with Max first behind him and then right to the side of him. Then Max overtook him for the next lap and he took the 2nd place again. But he did pretty good. Nigel Gearsley here did also pretty good. He was in the 2nd lap, he actually got to 1st place on this part actually. But then he fell back all the way to 9th place. And then he was able to catch up again to 3rd place. And of course our poor pole position car, Francesco, started in 1st, ended in 4th. Pretty sad, but yeah. Our second place starter, Max, of course, who led most of the race. He started in second. He overtook Viley for the lead just after entering the second lap. And then he was in first when he went into the third lap. Sadly, he got overtaken eventually by Shuto Todoroki after their second race battle duel on the track. And yeah, now he ended up in 5th place. Still a good performance. And one more car I want to give a highlight to is Carla Veloso. She started in last place, and for at least half of the race she remained there. Somewhere in like 3 or 4 she was able to overtake Miguel, who then took her place and got far behind the rest.